This is Mazi of Audio Soul Project here in Chicago in Humboldt Park, and we're going to be talking about Shake Heartache today, I guess.
It's an unashamedly house record, isn't it? And there aren't that many of them around at the moment.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think I spent years and years trying to kind of define myself somehow separately from a Chicago artist. You know, I'm a global artist, I'm this, I'm that, and tech house, whatever, you know, all these different hyphenated subgenres. And I think this last year I just was like, I'm just gonna make a house album. That's what I was feeling, that's what I wanted to do. And I don't know, I mean, just everything. I'm spinning more locally now, doing more things here at home in the Midwest, and it just felt right. So the fact that that was received well was kind of a surprise, and a good surprise. There's so many people making dance music now, so there's a lot of different perspectives. And I think Chicago house is almost, when you hear that term, it's almost become a derivative of itself. You know, it means something to people that's almost a caricature. You know, it's got to have this kind of sound and this kind of beat and this kind of vocal and whatever. And I wasn't trying to do anything like that. I just wanted to kind of make what it was to me growing up. And to me, it was the 90s. I mean, I love the 80s house, but I'm not old enough to have been going to clubs then. I'm not going to perpetrate like I was. But so to me, it was that 90s sound, and I think that's what comes through on this album. I wrote about 4 or 5 more tracks, unfinished ones, for this album. So total, it was about 15 songs. And some of them were just kind of way far off and just felt like too much of a departure. Like, I was working with a friend of mine, Nathan, who we actually did one of the songs together on the album, Never Go Away. He's the vocalist on that song. And we were working, believe it or not, on Teddy Pendergrass cover. And it sounded good. It was coming along, but we just at some point decided, you know, like, this thing just does not fit on this album. This is not right. And on the other end, there was just a couple of tracks that I was working on that were really cool, really kind of techy and dark and whatever, and I just thought, that's just going the other way too far. So the final cut just ended up being this very kind of like heady, dirty thing. So I think that's kind of what connects all of it, whether you're going techie or disco or vocal or smooth or sexy. They all have a certain kind of grit to them that unifies them. To do a vocal, full vocal like that, and not make it kind of fall into the typical pitfalls is not easy to do, I think. It takes the longest time. Those vocal tracks took the longest time to do. It just tires you out, I think. But yeah, I mean, I love them. And the songs that I play, kind of the older songs, and when I mean older, I mean a year from now or 15 years ago, those songs that I play are, you know, the awesome vocal tracks. There aren't that many of them, I don't think. And I think that's why so many talented producers kind of don't make a lot of vocals, because it's hard. Or like you said, if they do, it's 4 minutes a track, 15 seconds of vocals, and then another 4 minutes a track, because it's hard to deal with them. But I think they came out okay, and I like the fact that they're non-traditional vocal arrangements too. Like something on My Bluff, Alexander's got some great vocals, and he sings in the beginning of the song, in the middle of the song, and at the end, but there's a lot of instrumentation, and it's very kind of a abstract arrangement of where he comes in, where he goes out. I kind of used his improvising, where he would come in and go out. I almost kept that just like how it was, rather than put him into a strict arrangement of chorus, verse, chorus, you know, bridge and out. People who got my first album who have been following my music will notice the vocalists on this album are people I've worked with for years. And it's specifically because of that reason. Collaborating with a great vocalist, someone who's very creative on their own, isn't always an easy thing to do. And Ron, Alexander, Nathan, they're people I've worked with for long times. We're all good friends. And I think when they come here in the studio, well, actually with Alexander, we didn't work in the same studio. He recorded his vocals in Minneapolis and sent them over. But we had a couple of phone conversations, and he knew exactly what I wanted. He knows what I've been doing, you know, the hundreds and hundreds of tracks I've done. He knows where I'm coming from. So you know, you hear it like terms like, don't worry, I'll do a Mazi thing, I know what you want, you know. That kind of terminology, which is, I don't know exactly what that means, but they know what it is.
It seems like that sort of thing's really important to you, though, like the whole live thing. Obviously, the idea of taking the album live and live shows you've done in the past. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's going well, but I think I've almost been too ambitious about it, because I get bookings to do Audio Soul Project live, but everybody wants me to show up with you know, a synth. I'll bring the Moog out and Ableton Live, and that's the Audio Soul Project live show. But I don't want it to be that this time around. I want it to be what we did at Smart Bar last month, which is we had Jimmy, the saxophone player, who played with me on the album, out. We had Nathan there. Alexander couldn't show up, but we had another friend of ours, Simone Roberts, another vocalist, do My Bluff live. And we just had a lot of instruments there, and we did it like almost like a live house band. You know, the only thing that wasn't live were the beats. We had the beats coming out of Ableton to give it that house feel. I even thought about having a live drummer, but last minute I just decided that would be a little too crazy to try to mic a live drummer in a club like Smart Bar. So that's what I would like to do. I would like to do like minimum a 3 or 4 person show as the Audio Soul Project live show. And I mean, we recorded some video of it. I'll end up putting it up online. The reaction was amazing. The reaction was the kind of reaction that makes you think, this is what I want to do. You know, DJing is cool, DJing is fun, that'll be the hobby, but I would love to do this live. But having said that, the reason I say it's too ambitious is because, you know, as you can imagine, like booking a DJ to come to play your club is a lot easier than to have 4 people come with their instruments and this and that. It's just a harder show to book. And I have nothing against laptop sets, it's just that's not what I want this to be. So,
what brought that about? Is that something that you've had sort of brewing in your mind for a while, or?
Well, it was basically working on the album. I've been working on this album all last year. And while I was working on it, we would have these jam sessions and we would get together and work. And we thought, hey, you know, this is fun. We actually had a couple of live shows here in Chicago, just working out the songs in the album, working out some old songs, and it was a lot of fun. So then when the album was done completely, we thought, well, this is something we should do, you know? And so far we've done it here in the city or anywhere we can drive to. We're going to be hopefully in a couple months driving actually to New York City, all of us, and doing it out there. You know, hopefully somebody will want to get us on the plane, but 4 tickets 2011 for an underground house act, it's not hard. It's not easy to do.
Have the live shows affected how you're sort of looking at production?
Well, actually, what it's done, and I'm happy that it's done this, is it's just caused me to not be such a slave to the sequencer, to not be so caught up with a kind of definite arrangement that's in my mind, and to let kind of happy accidents occur and then leave them there. That's the hard part. Being a producer now, I've been making music since 1994, something like that. You get into your kind of mechanics of how you like music to be, and oh well, I should clean this up and I should do that, and this is where the intro starts and this is where the bass line should come in. And when you do more live things, you realize, no, that's absolutely not the way it is. You just let it happen and make sure you keep the beautiful things and you don't walk all over them like a producer does. But you got to remind yourself, like, maybe that wasn't exactly the right note, or you kind of delayed there on that part, or, you know, maybe it doesn't need to be so repetitive or whatever. But yeah, you gotta rein yourself in. It's possible.
What's next? What are you up to?
Well, right now I'm excited. I'm working on a remix for Lil Louis. He's one of my kind of heroes growing up. So I'm working on a remix for him for a track called Crazy off of his new album. I'm working on another remix after that for a couple of friends of mine from Room with a View, a German label. Dermont and Berardi, a song of theirs I really like called Basement Tale. And then we're just going to be working on putting together singles from the album. We're working with several remixers to get together the next few remix EPs, things like that. Continue to work the album. That's the thing about an album, why, you know, the last one was 2001, 2002, and this one is 2011, because it's not the kind of thing where you just put it out and that's it. It's kind of this ongoing organic beast that it just kind of keeps rolling out. So there's still a lot of work to be done. You know, my part as far as writing music is done. Probably, I mean, last time around with NRK, I actually ended up remixing a couple of my own songs after the fact, so I don't know if that'll happen. But yeah, there's still a lot of album work on the horizon.
10 years worth.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know what I've been doing for 10 years, but we'll hear it.